Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? My name is Denonu, and in this video here, we're going to be talking about Superman and Lois. And with this one here, I'm a little bit late. Wanted to do this around episode 2, but things got busy that week. I couldn't get around to it. So since we did The Flash a couple days ago, we're going to jump into Superman and Lois here, and I'm not going to get too descriptive because they're only on, I think, episode 3 or 4, something like that. So I'm just gonna state what I like, state what I don't like, state what I think about the story so far, and just any other opinions that I've had. And as far as the good, cinematography, this show is on point. I will say that. I went into this expecting, I knew it was going to be on HBO Max. I follow a couple channels who do a lot of the movies and TV stuff behind the scenes as far as the ratings and how much money things cost, things like that. So I know a little bit of how the CW works as far as their shows. And I went into this like, okay, well, I know it's going to be HBO Max. They kind of sort of paid for it a little bit. That's why probably the production values of this show is so much higher than, let's say, the Arrow or the Flash or even Supergirl. But I wasn't expecting this to be damn good, honestly. I remember watching the trailer, and as soon as they was like, oh, Superman has twin sons, I was like, okay, here we go. They couldn't just make it about a Superman show about me and Superman, so they've gave him a family. And that by itself, I'm not opposed to. Because I was a big fan of Superman comic books when they was doing Superman Rebirth at DC, where they just gave him a little kid, Jonathan Kent. And it was like him raising his son to be a hero, but letting his son kind of choose his own path and stuff like that. And the storytelling in that was damn good. I actually hated how DC kind of changed that, like a couple years later. But he had his own little comic book with Damian Wayne, and they was like the Super Sons, and it was like Batman and Superman sons going off doing their own little kid stuff. While at the same time, in Superman's comic books, it was like, okay, I gotta represent what I do and what's good so that it, so my son can see me doing that kind of sort of stuff. It was very father and son like. Loved it. So I'm not opposed to the family dynamic of, Superman. But I knew by this being WB, by them having 2 sons instead of 1, by one of them is like, oh, one of them's gonna maybe get powers, the other one might not. I was like, okay, here we go. It's gonna be more WB bullshit, right? Or CW bullshit, rather. Sorry if I keep calling it WB. I know that I do that in a bunch of my videos, but before they were known as the CW, they were called the WB back in the day, like 15 years ago. So that's what I kind of grew up with. So that's what I call them about. But anyway, not a fan of that. And even more so the angsty teenage, oh, my parents don't love me attitude bullshit. I've never been one of those people. Even as a teenager, I wasn't one of those people. So when I see that, I'm like, I'm thinking like, okay, this is some dumb bullshit. So I'm not a fan of that entirely in any movie, any TV show. Usually, unless there's something story related in there, I'll just skip through it, So I did, however, think it was okay in this. It's not as bad as it could have been. I will say that. I'm still not a fan of it, still don't like it, but it's not as bad as it could have been. Usually WB kind of jumps into a lot of that stuff, like 60-40. It's 60% of that bullshit drama, 40% of whatever the show is about. And in this, I guess it's the same, but the difference is that it doesn't really focus. The show isn't about the 2 kids. They could have made this show like have the kids be the stars and just have Superman in it, or having their and them dealing with their super dad leaving every time he has to go save somebody. That's not the case. The show follows Superman trying to raise his 2 sons trying to get them to understand where he's coming from. He has to understand where they're coming from. And you still got a lot of that shitty teenage angst, especially from the one kid who has powers, who hates the fact that he leaves to go save people. So like, what kind of an asshole kid are you? You know, it'd be different like if Superman was going to like a super bar to get drunk, lying to his family. But it's like, no, your dad is Superman. You know, every time he's not there, you know what he's doing. You know, he's being fucking Superman. So it's like, how do you be mad at that? It's like, you may have your issues with it, yeah, but it's like, you can't be mad at him for saving other people's lives. Like, come the fuck on. Stupid ass. But outside of that, the storylines that they've got going in the show is decent. The cinematography, like I said, was on point. Him being Superman it felt really good. They had a lot of feel-good moments in there. They had a lot of throwbacks to the older, you know, Christopher Reeve stuff. They even had one scene which was like the kind of like the spitting image of like the first Superman comic book that they made, the one where he's holding up the car. They even got the personality right when he was like, "Oh, my mom made my suit," and then he flew off. So it was like, okay, cool. Like, this is Superman, you know? This is the Superman that I wanted in Supergirl whenever he would pop in and show up. But that was kind of like I mean, if you wanted to call him a neutered Superman, it was like, you know, because they were trying to fluff up Supergirl versus Superman when really her show wouldn't exist without him. Let's be honest. So I didn't like that in Supergirl. And they would always make references when they would do crossovers and stuff with the other shows of like, oh, she's more powerful than me, ha ha ha, you know. And it's like, I hated those jabs, but I understand why they did it, because she was the focus of her show. You can't have Superman show up and have him be, you know, better than her, especially since they were pushing that female agenda type bullshit. So outside of that, by this guy playing the same character, or at least I think he's the same character. I'll touch back on that around later. But I figured they were just going to take that character and make him his own show out of that. And it's kind of that, but it's not, because the show is like, okay, Superman has kids and it's 15 years later. And the story that they're, you know, going with doesn't match what the character from Arrow and Supergirl. So it's like, I want to say like, okay, is it the same person? Is it the same Superman? You know, because it's the same actor and everything, same characters. But it's like, it feels like it's its own universe. You know, they don't mention any of the other Arrow stuff. They don't tie it into anything. And the storyline that they're dealing with, especially with the kids, really doesn't line up with none of the other Arrow stuff. Like, if they already had the kids and the Arrow stuff and was just like, okay, yeah, we got two 15-year-old kids, then I'd be like, okay, that makes sense. But it's like, no. They have the kids and then it does a complete time jump to like 15 years. Cause like, you know, they have Superman kind of give like a kind of wrap up real quick in like the first 2 minutes. And in the Supergirl stuff and then the crossovers, Lois was pregnant. So she had the kids and then it jumps 15 years. So that's why I think it's like, I think that was them setting up the show, but the show is completely disconnected from anything else. And that's probably because it has to do with HBO Max, whereas the other shows are completely CW. And that's what I'm guessing is since this show is, let's say, coming on TV and then it's going to HBO Max, since they're part of the production, that's why the production values are high end. It's like it's completely its own thing. It's not tied into the rest of the Arrowverse. So even though it's the same actor playing the same character, same thing with Lois, it's completely different thing. And it even feels different too. Like the cinematography in the first episode of like, you know, because I went into it like, okay, I'm expecting the typical CW, you know, schlock, right? But I will be damned, like it surprised the hell out of me. Like I watched the whole episode. I think I watched it twice in a row. And then I watched the second episode and I was like, okay, this is, you know, doing its thing. I was kind of worried because I was like, well, who's it going to fight? You know, are they going to bring in Lex Luthor, which was the guy from Supergirl, or are they going to bring in somebody different? And it's like, I think they brought in somebody different because he was fighting Doom Guy in the first episode. Or Doomslayer, rather. And I'd have been like, you know what? If they'd have started playing some rock music, I'd be like, I'm on board for this. This is the crossover that I wanted. But turns out it was Lex Luthor. You know, in his that was their variation of his war suit that Lex Luthor wears. Instead of being super big and super bulky like it usually is, or like the sleek down modern day comic book design of it, they kind of went with, you know, the Doomslayer-esque suit. And it just reminds me how accurate that was to the Doomslayer outfit. Like if it was like a little bit more brighter green, because it's like a dull green, it looks black under certain lighting. And that's why, like, you know, even when I first seen him attack, I was like, who in the hell is this guy? I'm thinking he's some other Kryptonian. But like, I didn't realize that it's like the suit was a dull green. And maybe they kind of made it that shade of green to, you know, maybe hide the fact that, you know, it was Lex Luthor. Because if you have somebody in a bright green battle suit fighting Superman, it's like, okay, you know it's going to be Lex Luthor. But I was kind of hoping it was going to be somebody different. But at the end of the episode, it turns out it was somebody different. That damn sure wasn't white, bald-headed Lex Luthor. It was a black dude. Surprised the hell out of me. I was like, oh shit, who the hell is this dude? Calling that man Mr. Captain Luthor at the end of the episode. And I was like, okay. So apparently they're going with like a multiverse kind of Lex Luthor, that somehow in his world Superman destroyed everything or pulled an injustice and tried to take over the world or some shit. And apparently Earth got wiped out by Superman or something. So he's traveled to this universe, or maybe crisis happened from the crossover and that brought him to this universe, since they haven't really said yet, I don't think. And he's trying to stop this Superman from becoming the tyrant that he is in his universe. I'm not sure if that's going to be the storyline throughout the whole season. I'm expecting them to change up that a little bit. You know, maybe Lex Luthor's probably not the big bad, or maybe Superman fights somebody in his universe, or maybe, let's say, he has kids and his kid flipped out and he had to kill his kid and that's what made him turn evil. Who knows? You know, they haven't said what the reason for it was yet, but I'm hoping it's something. I'm gonna guess it's something involving his kids, since his kids are like the focal point of the show. So I'm guessing his angsty teen is gonna like either turn bad, or maybe his brother's gonna turn bad because he's jealous he don't have powers or something like that. Maybe they end up fighting, maybe Superman gets in between them, tries to stop it, and maybe they both end up dying and he's just mad at himself and mad at the world, and maybe that's what flips him out. But guess we're gonna find out later once they, you know, get further into the season and everything. But so far, just my initial impressions is damn good. Outside of the little kid angsty stuff, it's a good show so far. You know, the production value is good. The money in there is good. You can definitely see it. I'm hoping it maintains that, because I would hate to see this show be front loaded with CG and money, and then on the back half just have it suck shit, you know, because then everything will look crappy and stuff like that. I'd rather have them maintain the look of what they got going and then tell whatever story they want to tell. And you even got some other stuff in there with Lois investigating Morgan Edge and some other people with superpowers, so it's not just Superman and stuff like that. So really interested to see what they're doing with that part of the storyline too, because they have to give Lois something to do, and that's her thing, you know. So she's investigating Morgan Edge because he's taking over all the farms in Smallville, trying to do whatever it is that he's going to do. And I guess Lois is trying to figure that out, and that gets Superman wrapped up in it because he's married to her, blah, blah, blah. So you can see where they're kind of staging the show for how the season is going to go. And I'm just hoping they can maintain it. I mean, it's a very surprising show. And when it came out, when I was reading a lot of the reviews and stuff, people were saying the same thing. They were like, oh, this isn't like the other shows. It's damn good. And, you know, it had a very good reception starting out. Even, I think, better than, I want to say, most of the CW shows. The only one that I could think had a better reception was probably The Flash, because that kind of started out no pun intended, that came out the gate running. But yeah, Superman and Lois, good show so far. I'm hoping they maintain it. I'm gonna see if I can keep these up. Every time they put out an episode, I'm gonna do a video about it. And same thing goes for The Flash, because the new season of that just picked back up. So we'll see how it goes, and I hope I'll like it at the end of the season. But anyways, fellas, that's just my opinion on Superman and Lois. If you guys want to see me make videos or content about anything else, or any other TV shows, movies, any kind of thing that's streaming there, let me know down in the comments below what you want me to, check out. And I don't mind checking it out and making an opinion, video out of it. I really don't. I'm going to try to maintain this channel and keep this one going just like my gaming one. So we're going to keep it moving no matter what happens, whether I get views or not. And, we're just going to keep it going for the year and see what can come of it. So hopefully we'll get some good movies, some good TV shows out of it too, since things seem to be picking up. If COVID don't shut everything down again. But we'll see. Anyways, YouTube, be safe out there. Don't do anything stupid. And always think for yourself. Peace out.